Hi guys, this section we're finishing up probability. So I'm going to go through some self-check questions. So I have my calculator and then we're talking about independent and dependent events. So if we are combining what we did last time into two separate things. So find the probability of rolling a 2 first, and then, so we're doing events, we're doing more than one, and then a 12 when a pair of dice is rolled. So remember, when we have a pair of dice, this is from last time, there's 36 outcomes. And so I'm just going to focus on rolling a 2. So when we roll a 2, our probability will be out of 36. And then we have to think of possible outcomes to put on the top. So how many ways can you roll 2 when you roll a dice? You roll 1 and a 1. It's the only way to roll a 2. And so there's one outcome. So this fraction is for rolling a 2. And we're going to multiply by another fraction for when we roll a 12. So we're writing a fraction for the 2 and a fraction for the 12. So for the 12, there's still 36 outcomes. And now we have to think, how many different ways can you roll a 12? And if you need to go back and look at your old notes, that's okay. But there's only one way to roll a 12 too. It's a 6 and a 6. Because that's as high as the dice goes, is up to 6. So 2 6s is a 12. That's the only way. So once we have two fractions, so one fraction for the first event, one fraction for the second, we multiply them. So 1 times 1 is 1. When we multiply fractions, we go straight across. And 36 times 36 is, I don't know. But also, you guys can put all the fractions in Desmos and then use your fraction button to get the actual fraction. So 36 times 36. This is the answer. So what that means is there's 1 in 1,296 ways to roll this combination. So it's pretty rare. Find the probability of selecting 2 9s when 2 cards are drawn without replacement from a standard deck of cards. I'm going to draw a card, and then I'm not going to put that card back. I'm going to draw another card. And so we're saying, what's the chance that I draw 2 9s out of that deck? So this is something some of you may or may not be familiar with, but you need to know about a deck of cards. Okay? You might have to look them up and see what cards are. Like what Jack, Queen, and King, spades, hearts. I'm telling you now, there's 52 cards in a deck. And we have 4 suits, and then there's numbers. So our total outcomes when we have a deck of cards is 52. So my first draw, I'm going to be drawing from 52 cards. So this is for the first draw. So it's asking, what's the probability of drawing a 9? So I have to think, how many 9s are in the deck? So there's a 9 of hearts, 9 of diamonds, 9 of clubs, 9s of spades. So there's 4 different hearts in the deck. And then I'm going to multiply, and I want the probability. So now I'm going to write a fraction for my second draw. Okay, so now, remember I drew a card from the deck. There were 52 cards when I started, so now there's only 51 cards. So my possible outcomes changes because I did not replace the card. Remember, this card that I drew, it's a 9. So now, how many 9s are left in the deck? If I have one out, there's only 3. So because of this draw, the second one changes. Now there's only 3 9s left, and there's only 51 cards left. So now I'm going to multiply these. So 4 over 52. That's my first draw. 4 cards, 4 9s. In my second draw, there's only 3 9s, and there's only 51 cards. So that's 1 in 221 that I will draw 2 9s. That's the possibility of doing that. Find the probability of drawing a black, jack, and a heart when 2 cards are drawn without replacement. So this is the same thing. I'm going to start with 52 cards, my first draw, and my second draw, there's only going to be 51 cards. And up here on my numerators, I need to figure out how many cards I'm looking for. What's the possible card that I'm looking for? So my first draw, I'm looking for a black jack. So in a deck of cards, there's 4 jacks, 2 are red and 2 are black. So there's 2 cards that I'm looking for. 2 out of 52. And I'm gonna draw this card. So I have a jack, it's black, it's either a club or a spade. Now there's 51 cards left in the deck, and I want a heart. So a heart is what we call a suit, and there's 4 suits in a deck. So I'm gonna divide 52 by 4, and I get 13. So in a deck of cards, there's 13 hearts, 13 diamonds, 13 clubs, and 13 spades. So of these that I'm left over with, there's 13 cards in there out of the 51 that could be a heart. Because the hearts are red, the diamonds are red, but the clubs and the spades, those are black. And I already took out a black card. So there's still 13 left. So now it's set up, I'm going to multiply these. So 2 over 52, those are my black jacks, hearts, 13 out of 51. That's 1 out of 102 chances that I could do that. Draw a black jack and then a heart. So let's do one more. Find the probability of rolling a 5 first and then a 9 when a pair of dice is rolled. So now I'm not thinking about replacements. I just have 2 dice, I roll. So 2 dice, my first roll. There's 36 outcomes. Then I pick up the dice again and I roll. There's still 36 outcomes. So when we're talking about the dice, the outcomes doesn't change because I don't have a card that I'm hanging on to, like our last ones. Now I have to look at what are the chances of rolling a 5 and what are the chances of rolling a 9. And I have to think, how many ways can I roll a 5? So I could roll a 1 and a 4. And then remember, those go both ways. I could roll a 4 and a 1. So that's 2 different ways to roll a 5. I could also roll a 2 and a 3. And a 3 and a 2. And that's it. But then I hit 5 after I get 4. So there's 4 ways to roll a 5. Now I want to look how many ways can I roll a 9. So just start going through the numbers. Remember, it's dice. So if I roll a 1, I can't roll an 8 on the other dice, right? If I roll a 2, I can't roll a 7. But if I roll a 3, I could roll a 6 with the other dice. And then switch them. 6, 3. That counts as 2 separate rolls. And then keep going. I could roll a 4 and a 5, 5 and a 4, and then I'm at 6 again. So that's it. There's 4 ways to roll a 9. So my fractions are set up. I'm going to multiply. 4 out of 36 times 4 out of 36. Make the fraction. 1 out of 81 chances that I could do that. Okay, so that is probability. That's the end of this unit. If you have questions,